Welcome to Modern Homestead, Alaska. I am Jessica, and in today's video, we are going to clean out and process every single thing that we can in 6 deep freezes. What you see in front of me isn't even the half of it. This is just the last day of processing. So I hope that you'll join me. Enough ado, let's get into the video. So as I kick off this video and I get started, I am down here in the chicken freezer. I'm first gonna go upstairs and show you exactly what it is that I got done previously yesterday, and then I will join you back down here in the basement and we'll just roll along with this video. But I do want to give you a little bit of an idea of what we're doing and why. It is because a lot of items like the chicken here are packaged so big that I have just been skipping using what's in our freezer because it hasn't been in a very usable state. Here is an example and what I mean by that. So we have a bunch of chicken drumsticks, and looking at this one, there's probably 12 or more, and I will explain why this is not working for our family anymore and why we're doing what we're doing as the video goes along. But let's jump upstairs, see what I did yesterday. So I actually started on these freezers yesterday. I didn't film it only because I wanted to film for 3 days and I wanted to prepare, but this one I have in pretty good shape. I even washed it out, but I couldn't put some stuff back in it that we pre-made, and I'll show you that in just a second, because I needed to use the freezer space to freeze some things that we're gonna package up right now. Truthfully, when I got started yesterday, the refrigerator was nearly empty. And I went ahead and started pre-making up some dog foods. We have a dog that's having epileptic seizures. We've tried medications. We've tried a bunch of different things, and now we are trying diet. So in this freezer, I had some old salmon, some old moose that people had given us, that sort of stuff that was good for dog food. But to get it all the way to the point that it's ready to just freeze and feed the dogs, so you can just grab a bag out, defrost it, feed them, and move on with your day, that takes quite a bit of prep work. And I'm thinking there's gonna be kind of some old salmon and some things down in the basement that can help with this as well. And so I went ahead and did that, but like you just saw, I had made some pies and other things. So I'm gonna move that stuff down into the freezer right now. All right, so while we're getting started, I'll show you what I have in this freezer starting out. So I just popped the 1, 2, 3, 4 gallons of dog food. Over here, I have some, they're ready to go. So I had a bag of beef heart that was already diced up, and I sectioned it out for dog treats so that they're getting a good amount of iron. And then this is just, these are like a dumpling, like a rice dumpling. Those are pre-done. This is a pizza kit that I might actually put it up for dinner. Some kielbasas, there's some lunch meat, and just kind of some already packaged things ready to go. This is the kale, that's all that is left. Just these 2 bags, and I had so much of it. And then I think this birria, if we get to, this is just the sauce down here for birria tacos. I think if we find a roast, I'll pull that out and we'll get rid of that. Some ice creams, some elderberry syrup for colds. And so, all right, there is a little deep freeze on the deck right here in the garage. It's really easy for me to get to. But the main reason we even purchased this one is when people come up to visit and they go salmon fishing, instead of giving space in our fish freezer that then gets emptied out, we bought this one. Sorry, my son is leaving. We bought this one in order for guests to put their salmon in here, but also things that I can grab to take right into the kitchen and not have to go all the way to the basement. So the other freezers are actually in the basement, and this is how empty this one is from yesterday, and I went ahead and made 4 blueberry pies. So I'm gonna grab these. We're gonna be running the vacuum sealer for the fish that we just caught on our latest adventure. So I thought now would be a perfect time. Okay, see how quick and easy that slipped out? So these are blueberry pies. My mom brought over all these bags of frozen blueberries, and there is more that we need to get to. And so I went ahead and 3 bags made 4 pies, and all that I do is make the pie filling. I have 4 of these pie pans that I own, and I line them with enough parchment to even go over the top, because of the sugar content, they can be sticky even when frozen. Oh, come on. So I pop the fillings out, and when it comes time to, I want to make a pie, this is what I'm talking about, making life easier, where I can just grab things out of the freezer ready to go. When my family's visiting, when we just have some place, oh, we need to bring something, all I have to do is put a crust in the pan and then pull this frozen pie disc out and just pop it right in to the shell, and voila, I just cook it the same amount of time you normally would. So I also had a bag of cherries, and I just kind of pulverized them. There's some whole ones in there, and did like a cherry pie filling that I covered with chocolate. So this is going to end up being chocolate cherry hand pies. All right, so we have 4 blueberry pies and 2 bags of chocolate cherry hand pie. Really quick before I clean out that one freezer and then head down, I want the kitchen working for me, not just hanging out. So I have, these were at like there were someone's leftover moose roast that, you know, were probably no good. They're a little bit tough, but they're gonna be fine for dog food. And so, like, that one has a big vein or something running through it. Anyway, we're gonna pop them in here and just kind of get them all crumbled up. All right, so I'm gonna use all the moose juice that just came from that, because that is really good. And we learned we do not like moose bone broth. We like beef bone broth because that's what our tastes are used to. And we like chicken broth. We don't really care for the moose. And so instead of wasting it, we're gonna give those vitamins and nutrients, all that time and stuff that was cooked down, into the dog's diet, and hopefully that'll help. So I'm gonna do quinoa in the Instant Pot, add it to the mousse, and I think I'm gonna do rice for the pork. So it's a 1-to-1 quinoa. So quinoa, it only has to go for 1 minute, and then it sits for 10 minutes in there. But by the time the 1 minute is up, it actually takes quite a bit longer on the whole thing. So this isn't like literally done in 1 minute, even though it's 1 minute. It has to build all of the pressure, heat up, do all of the things, and then we need to let it come down naturally for about 10 minutes. So it's on, and I think we can clean the deep freeze, and then we'll come back and do rice in the instant. I think on my way down, I'm gonna grab what is in here out, and I'm gonna unplug this freezer. It has a lot of frost. We're gonna defrost it. I have 2 things. One, this is for Destiny's grandma. It is a cow tongue. Take that down. And then the other thing is, I have a bunch of, I believe this is the moose bones. I need to make more broth for the dogs, as silly as that sounds. So I'm gonna take this in and we're gonna just get this ready to go. So let that start defrosting. And then in here is some of the onion and garlic pestos. Well, these are all the onion pestos. And then a bunch of frozen little guacamoles. So I'll probably set these in that freezer and then that. So let me take these two things in there, unplug this, and let that defrost, and we'll totally clean it out. The first deep freeze is because I know that there's some beef and things in the other freezers that need to go in here. And I want to start with the simplest and work my way to the hardest of all the things. Like I said, I'm going to film for 3 days. This is the first day of filming, but second day of working on this. And this is actually my son's deep freeze. He purchased it when he got his moose. And something that happens around here is all of our food storage is for the whole family. And what has actually happened is most of this is packaged for the whole family, as if we're eating one dinner. Well, as life has changed, it quickly changed when we brought children into the family and they grew, and then life quickly changed as in the same pace and order that we brought children into the family, 4 and 5 years, they have left. And so we now are making adjustments. And one of the problems is food is often packaged for 6 or more people. And that just isn't working anymore. So mostly in here, it isn't that full anymore. It was full, is moose. And then we butchered a beef, we split half of it. And everything is stored at our house, and the kids have like apartment size freezers, just a fridge and freezer, and they don't have room for food storage. And so they just take what they need as they need it. So it is still food storage that feeds, well, now it's 6, 7, 8, something like that, grown adults, but most people are making 2 and 4 meals, enough for 2 or 4 people. 2 is the common number, but most of us do leftovers, so we'll make enough for 4, and then someone can have lunch the next day. So all I'm gonna do is just tidy this up really quick so that I can move up the beef over here. Okay, so down here on that side we have all the ground, but anything in these camo packs is beef, and anything in the white packs is moose. So, well, here's the giant mess. I pulled out one of the totes, not realizing there's some hamburger underneath. And then everything's falling in. All right, back over here. Okay, mid-clean. Okay, when you let out pressure of a canner like this, open it away from you. See that? Not in the face. Okay. So, the inside's gonna be really hot. We have all of our just ground up moose. I'm gonna look for vegetables here in a little bit, so this is just gonna kind of hang out. And we're gonna just put look at that beautiful quinoa. So I went with quinoa with the moose because it's full of like omega-3 fatty acids and some other really good nutrients for the dogs. And I didn't need to add that with the fish, because the fish is also full of that as well. I'm gonna give it a quick rinse. And so the quinoa and the mousse, and then once I'm sure there's some spinach or something down there that we'll be able to add to this that's maybe freezer burnt or getting a little bit old or whatever the case is, and then we'll be able to make a rounded meal for them. It actually smells good enough to eat. Okay, so I got all the ground beef right here. There's not very much of it, but there's a ton of the ground mousse left. And then I stuck, there is a huge brisket from the cow, and then a bunch of mousse ribs and some roast. I may end up pulling those roast, but I'm going to keep getting this in here. So in here we do have meat rabbits, and I have some of those butchered. So we're gonna put those in here as well. And now I can get to all the ground mousse here. Here's the steaks, roast, ribs, and then and because I'm sending a bag to Caleb, he asked for some steaks. So I'm gonna do a loin steak. And what else? So say a sirloin and then some meat. And I'm gonna leave it in this freezer bag. I'm gonna throw that in the freezer. And when Wyatt heads over to Caleb's, I may throw some fish out here too. Maybe some shrimp or something for Destiny. So just take this freezer bag with him. All right, we're finally to the hard area. So this small freezer is fish. May do that one next because we just got a whole bunch of fresh fish, and I want to move that to the bottom. So this freezer is supposed to be for our meat birds, and because we're going to be getting new meat chickens here and then having those butchered and doing all of that fun jazz, what is happening is this has kind of become like just dumped with stuff. Even I just set those pies in here this morning. And so there's some fish that is good fish. So I have like some rockfish. It's all 2024, halibut 2024. Like these are recent fresh things that were at the end of the season last year. So we don't want to waste any of this cod. So I'm also finding some steaks from 2023. So these are probably, my mom might have brought these up from Nevada. They don't, that's not my handwriting. But kind of anything 2023, a little older. We'll do that. Now to some vegetables. So this is fairly new. That should go in here. That needs to process. This is fresh cauliflower just from this past season. I don't want to process that. I want to keep that. All right, so here we are with all this chicken we raised and had butchered. The chicken parts and pieces. So this is wings. I reserve the right to leave some things to the side. The wings, maybe that would be a fun family deal. All of the drumsticks, they're gonna get cooked. They're gonna get cooked and put into freezer meals, and by freezer meals, I mean like an already cooked freezer meal that you pop out, you take it for your lunch, you heat it up for dinner, whatever the case is. But a bunch of this just this is parts that needs to be broth. Oh. Okay, so I got these 2 breasts, and there are 2 chicken breasts in each one. I'm gonna move these to the meat freezer as well as the short ribs. The rest of all of this we need to deal with. Okay, that is gross. Totally needs defrosted, and it needs a good cleaning, and we'll get right to that. So this is gonna be the last one I'm gonna grab stuff out of today, because I think we'll have enough to deal with on this first go round. This is supposed to be fruits and vegetables only. And so I turned it kind of sideways so I could hold the door open. And then I will be able to use the top of that freezer that will leave open to defrost. Okay, so this corn just stuck in here, this street corn. Lovely. It's brand new, it's fresh. These are because I need some vegetables. These look pretty freezer burnt. So there we go. And everything that's in these, as long as there's no onions, the dogs can actually have. So I've had this freezer 2 or 3 years. I'm going to defrost it tomorrow because I need to put some things back in. And because this is the fruit and vegetables, I'm just gonna throw the pies in here. Like I said, I'll run the sealer later. So here's some stuff that was like given to me. The cream spinach, we won't eat that. We didn't even buy that. And maybe pull some of the greens from 2023 because I have some fresh ones from 2024. 2022, that's super freezer burnt. So the cranberries, we may be able to do something with those. I'll think about those when I find some other stuff. All right, if you can see, for the most part, this freezer is still gonna be full, which is a good thing. But I'm just gonna put in my notes really quick what's in here. So we're gonna leave this to freeze tonight. I'm gonna haul all of this up and wash all of it, and then when it defrosts tomorrow, we're gonna be able to get it all back in to the drawers. Okay, I think we're at a good, for the first day, starting point to head up, let all this start defrosting, start deciding what we're doing. We'll pull together the last 2 dog foods and get those in the freezer. So we have all of this chicken and a couple of the roast. I know what I wanna do with that. I'm gonna do the birria tacos and then kind of divide that meat up. We have some veggies here. So I was gonna throw a bunch of the vegetables in the Instant Pot, and it dawned on me, it'd be a lot faster by the time it like pressurizes and comes back down, all of that. Let's see, just kind of cross it. So birria tacos are made from a ton of different Mexican peppers. They are not spicy, even though you can make it spicy with some jalapenos and some chipotle peppers and all those different things. However, ours is not a spicy. Well, when we made it last time, we had so much sauce left over that I just froze the sauce so that I'm not having to buy a whole bunch more like peppers and such. So I put a little riser down here in the Instant Pot because you can cook a roast from frozen. I am gonna let the birria defrost while this roast, and we're gonna get as many of them in here as we can, but I'm gonna steam them in chicken broth and water just so we're immediately adding flavor to the meat. My son is gonna bring up a cooler. So all of this chicken is gonna be human food. And then this is just what we have that is no good on the beef, and then those bones. So the bone broth tonight, I'm gonna put in the Instant Pot. And I brought up the roaster because 3 of these bags of chicken are actually just like this, the backbone. One was a rooster. So we're just gonna make broth out of these guys, and then maybe any other bones tomorrow, which I can just add to the chicken broth. And then the rest of this will become cooked freezer meat. I'm gonna try and mix these without making a giant mess. All right, I labeled all the bags. So we have the mousse and quinoa. While I'm finishing up the dog food, I went ahead and threw those other 2 roasted real quick and put it on for 90 minutes. It takes a long time from frozen. 9 more gallons of dog food plus the 5 that I did yesterday puts us at 14 gallons. So I'm gonna pop these in the freezer, but I'm gonna leave 2 of them in the fridge. I am trying to clean as I go. Birria on for 90 minutes. I have the 3 bags of chicken. I just defrosted them long enough that I can hopefully get them unstuck from the sides of the bag. So those are gonna go in this big roaster here. I'm gonna let the chicken broth go for about 24 hours or so, however long it takes. And after that, we can either can it up, which is real simple if I use like my stovetop pressure canner, or we can use it in some recipes. Whatever we end up working out is fine. But the fact that this is just sitting in there ready, it's already heated up so much, just needed to be turned into chicken broth. It literally are the pieces for that. I am getting it to a usable state, which is the goal of all of this. And so that is like mission accomplished right there. So when I went down to get the roasting pan, I grabbed a bunch of fruit. We're gonna get some more fruit pie going. This is all the random stuff that my mom stuck in there. So it's gonna be berries. So let's see, we have cherry, blueberry, peach, and I think raspberry. I make all my fruit pies the same way. So what I want is for 6 cups of frozen fruit, and I reserve 1 cup of it to add in after it has cooked down a bit. And so we're gonna measure these out and see how much we get. Ah, this is raspberries. Call that, did in my own face, another 8. Okay, so it's enough for 5 pies that I have. Not in the pan yet, but I have some fruit set aside. So I need 3 3/4 of a cup of sugar, because I use 3/4 of a cup for each 6-cup pie. And then I use 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, a pinch of salt, and about a teaspoon of cinnamon. All right, so just kind of start breaking it up. So you can add anything you like ginger would just warm it up a little. Cinnamon gives it a little bit of warmth. Nutmeg, whatever you desire. I just like to add a little cinnamon in, even though most fruit pies don't actually have any seasoning like that in them. So just keep a close eye on it, and it is going to get really thick really quickly, but you don't want it sticking or burning to the bottom. And then 5 cups of frozen fruit. Okay, and then from here, we're going to just line the pie pans with parchment paper, enough to fold over the top, and then freeze it flat, and then be able to pull that out tomorrow. I'm gonna finish making dinner before I put these in the pie pans, because I think I can get 2 of the freezers clean. I am super tired. It is 8:43, and I did the same thing last night. Aaron is feeding the dogs the dog food. They love it. Little Duke, wanna see his tricks? Oh, he spins circles. You didn't make him wait.
He's hungry.
He's actually good at waiting. Oh. That shredded. That's beautiful meat. Good morning, welcome to day 2. Let's review. Last night, got all of the pies in the deep freeze. What did I say? In the deep freeze. And I finished the birria meat. It's all shredded up. It's beautiful. I just stuck it in the fridge for the night. I was so tired. I could not take anymore. Now I'm gonna package that up. So now we have the upstairs freezer to the refrigerators cleaned out. The deep freeze, I went ahead and scrubbed that so that I could freeze those pies. So all 5 of the pies are in the upstairs deep freeze. We're gonna stick those in bags and get those sealed up in the basement downstairs. We have the birria and we have a ton of stuff defrosted. And then let's check in chicken broth. Okay, so this has been going all night. Completely beautiful, dark, falling off, coming apart. So we'll let that just keep on trucking. So what I think I'm gonna do is use these, what are they, quart freezer bags, and then put them in one of these. And I'm going to have enough for 2 to 4 meals. So let me seal. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna take this, and then, believe it or not, just 1 quart should be enough for 4 meals. One of y'all during the Every Bit Counts challenge sent me these. They are super helpful. Look, see? That holds it open for me and I'm not getting it all over my hand. So I ended up with 5.5 bags. This one I'm going to set out for, I'm gonna pop it in the fridge for dinner tonight, and then 5 of them going into the freezer. That weighs a ton. So that was what, 3 roasts plus the gallon bag of birria, all the peppers and seasonings that we didn't wanna waste. So that is wonderful. I'm gonna get this pan ready. Really quick, I'm gonna throw all these old steaks. We did try to cook some of them, and I don't know exactly where my mom got them, but they did not turn out well. Well, I have strange news. I couldn't tell looking at the bags. I'm like, maybe that's some thighs. Maybe that's whatever. This is the 3rd bag of backs, and like just all the, so this is what it is. Just the leftover pieces to make soup stock. All right, so I think we ended up half and half on the legs, or yes, the drumsticks. So that half is just, I'm gonna cover it with some plastic wrap, keep letting it defrost, and then those are just gonna go on the grill with barbecue sauce on them. And these other ones here, I'm gonna grab out the ingredients. We're gonna make a Hawaiian chicken. So I have a bunch of the drumsticks. I have 1 cup of brown sugar. It calls for 3/4 of a cup of ketchup, 3/4 of a cup of soy sauce. I have some coconut aminos here, so we're gonna use that instead of soy sauce. Just use what you have on hand. I'm trying not to have to buy anything and go to the store, so we'll bring that up to 1.5 cups. Okay, and then to that, I have some freeze-dried ginger. It calls for fresh ginger. So, and then I have 3 cloves of fresh garlic here that we're gonna smash. Okay, and so I'm gonna do a good pinch of salt and a good pinch of black pepper. All right, I'm gonna mix it. All right, so I'm just gonna put them in the bag and let them marinate all afternoon while the other ones are still defrosting. Those are just gonna be, like we said, barbecue. And therefore, can seal this up and come back 5 or 6 hours, something like that. All right, so we're gonna clear 3 things out of the freezer with this one recipe. I'm actually gonna have to run the slow cooker in the pantry. I have lots of plugs in there as well, but I am running out of space in the kitchen and I can't keep moving forward if I don't. So it is 2 huge double-sided bone-in chicken breasts. I will shred it off afterwards and we'll keep all the sauce and the beautiful things. And we're going to try to fit in here. Well, we can't. I found this. This must have came from my mom's freezer because I don't dice and or freeze onions, but I'm completely out of onion, and this recipe calls for a large or medium sliced onion. So get the onion in there. I find it funny because the only thing in my garden ready for harvest is the basil. So we're gonna just try to cram all of this in. Okay, so some brown sugar. If you're doing Whole30, because this technically can be a Whole30 recipe, and then look at all of this fresh basil. So once it kind of defrosts in there, we'll mix it up. All right, if need be, when the Instant Pot is free, we can always move it over. But a couple more things, as it kind of just starts to defrost and work its way down in here. 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. So 1, 2, 3. A good pinch of kosher salt. And some garlic powder. And then here in just a little bit, I'll be able to stir this. I might do some black pepper. I am gonna go ahead and pressure can some of this broth because now we realize we have so much of it. So while that strains for a sec, let's get all this in here. Just like yesterday, we're just gonna cover it over. And then do like a good, because it's a huge amount, so that's like maybe a tablespoon and a half of salt. All right. Ooh. Set that aside. Super dark, very full of fat. I have 4. We're gonna do quarts. I could do pints. It's up to you. I have a bunch of pints, which is honestly my favorite way of doing the chicken broth, but this is beautiful, this will work. So using a rag soaked and clean, a clean rag soaked in vinegar, we just want to try and break down any fat and oil that got on the lid there, or on the rim. Brand new lid, used ring, finger tight. That is hot pack. Into the canner. So I'm gonna turn a bunch of these chicken thighs, so it was 2 packs of chicken thighs, into a bunch of boneless, skinless, because we just started that second set of broth. I wanna take all of the skin and bones and add that in. I am loving that I did not pre-decide what I am doing with all of these things, because as I broke out the canner, it dawned on me, I'm really low on canned chicken. And if I'm gonna do a bunch of chicken broth, I might as well have some cans of chicken, and I literally have the makings for everything. I use it for like chicken Alfredo during the week, or I will throw it in and make chicken salad. I will use it for soups and all of the different things, like a white chicken chili, whatever. And so I love that all of a sudden I was like, you know what? These thighs would make the best canned chicken. So I pulled the skin off and the bones out of the ones that I could, and I'm just roasting it off, and we'll pack them in the chicken broth, giving them even more flavor. Literally everything we brought up yesterday, which was massive. And it just keeps feeling like, oh, we haven't done that much, we haven't done that much. We really kind of have though. So we have it either cooling, so that I can pick the chicken out of here, and then the bones will go in the compost. We have the broth. We have the bad steaks cooling, so that I can pick them off the bone. We'll run that through the little processor, do something with that. We have the bone broth going 90 minutes. Chicken, second batch of chicken broth going. That'll go about 20 hours or so. We still have, these legs are completely frozen together. The birria is done, and we have about 73 minutes left on the canner. So everything is either processed or in process upstairs, and 5 pies in the freezer. So I'm gonna grab a marker. We'll grab the 5 pies on the way down, and then I washed everything. So the cooler that the chicken was in, scrubbed that with soap and water. The bucket that we were using, we have the freezer bag. The other 2 totes are in here from down out of the basement. And that right there just shows you like the amount of food that we literally dealt with and have processed, or is in the process right now. And then we have the Hawaiian chicken marinating in the fridge. So, all right, the first thing we have to do really quick is clean out the chicken freezer so we can put the stuff in it. So now we're officially, other than the 2 packs of breasts and 2 packs of wings that I wanted to keep, we are out of homegrown, fresh, farm-raised chicken and chicken in general. So I'm gonna spray this down and then scrub it really quick with a paper towel so I can throw away. It's kind of icky. I decided to run and get some soapy water and a Mr. Clean bar so I could really get in there. All right, she's spotless. I love it. A clean deep freeze. All right. Now, let's take everything out of this one. Magic musical, what is it, musical chairs? The infamous fish freezer. Let me show you how full this is. Oh, there it is. I don't remember if I showed this yesterday. So, all of this I just brought home. And we're gonna get it sealed up first and then figure out what is underneath all of it. So let me grab, so that we're not defrosting everything. Let me grab out everything I need. Don't let me forget the label there. Okay, so this is the halibut, the cod, and the rockfish that we got. If you'd like to see that video, there will be a link in the description. This is Aaron's king salmon. I've been just shoving it over there with the fruits and vegetables for a minute. And this was kind of the state. This stuff was just moved in here. So the shrimp I can go through. Most of this salmon is last year, so 2024. However, down here is a bunch of hooligan that Caleb had dip net, and we need to use that up as bait or do something with it. So while that's running, I'm gonna pull out anything that is old. So 2022 is no bueno, and we will be able to make a bit more dog food out of this. Sad news, while filming this today, Roberto, that's the dog having the seizures, had yet another one today. So as much as my heart starts to feel like, oh, that's silly to feed that to your dogs or it's wasteful or whatever, the truth is we have hardly wasted any fish, and it is not wasted if we can do something for him. Sorry about the motions. So, any of the salmon that's 2024, so last season, I'm gonna set that aside because that is still good. And Aaron and I do a pretty good job of portioning the salmon out in a way that I don't need to pre-cook it. I don't need to turn all of it into some sort of meal or something like that. Because now what I can do is just grab halibut or salmon as we please, and then throw that in. So we have made several deep sea fishing trips. And then in there, in that deep freeze, we'll be able to pull out what is my daughter's and pop it over. Yep. Okay, so I have 2 whole things full of bait fish. So I got the 4 quarts out of the canner, and because I'm cooking in batches, I don't know if you can see, and it'll fog up the camera, but it's heated back to a rolling boil, and all of the chicken thighs I've chopped up, and they're in, and it made 4 quarts, so that is perfect. We are going to fill our 4 quarts, so hot in. I have some boiling water in the tea kettle again so that we can pour hot over it and run the canner. Let's see, we have 52 minutes left on the bone broth. So I was finally able to get the drumsticks apart, but they're not defrosted. So I'm not gonna put them on the grill. I just don't wanna run any risk. Because we're not like gonna then pressure pan them or whatever. So I do want to go ahead, I'm gonna put a lid on them. And I'm just gonna keep marinating the other chicken, and I'm gonna put these in the fridge. They should be defrosted by the morning. It is 5:30. So my thoughts are, I'm not gonna be able to cook these by the time they're defrosted and get that last deep freeze done today. I reserved all the juice from the steaks. We'll just run them through the Ninja in the morning. So I will throw these in as well. And there's no point in, I don't have to have this done tonight either because I will be doing a bunch of the grains in the Instant Pot. So, put this in a bag for tonight. All All right, let's take a look because I moved the dog food. So I have some pre-made things here, and then I might end up taking this kale downstairs. I have a plan for those peaches and those blueberries. And then I'm gonna bring up freezer meals and put them in here. Okay, here we are in this upstairs freezer. So I scrubbed it out last night, everything's fine. So I have bait fish right around the bottom, and then a tote the same size that's underneath, and that's all the hooligan. I got it all into one tote and around the bottom, so we can deal with that. And then we, as of right now, have all this space for someone else's fish, and then so far this whole tote is dog foods. So the freezer with the drawers is not defrosted, but this one is close enough that I can just scrape what's left and get it cleaned up and back to freezing. And I have about an hour left on the canner, and I'm just gonna see how far I can get in an hour, because anything that needs to go to the trash has to go today, because in the morning before we get started, the trash company will be here, and they come every other week. Alright, I got all of the salmon in this tote. So let's get that in the bottom. Look, I went ahead and plugged it in. Fresh, clean freezer, smelling good. That's all salmon. I buried my husband's king at the bottom so we can work our way through this stuff. However, if a special guest comes, I'll just dig through it and get to that. And now we need to move all the halibut and cod over here. Okay, that is a huge improvement. All right, it's officially time. Let me just start by moving Cody's halibut over to the fish freezer, and then we'll start diving into this. So I have some leftover freezer meals. Wyatt and I just talked about it. We want to actually eat these, so I'm gonna bring them up so that they're easy to grab for lunch and dinners. I definitely need more containers. Okay, so celery. This needs to go into the other freezer, as well as the peas. I think that's all the peas I have. So I just found two things that my mom stuck in here. So this is from Albertsons. We don't even have an Albertsons in Alaska. And it is obviously frostbit in a Costco rotisserie chicken. So those will both become dog food. I have two hams. So one of these, let me see, this one is spiraled. So this actually looks all right, even though my mom brought it up from Nevada a year ago. It's from Albertsons, so I'm gonna put it in the other meat freezer. It's just turned into a meat freezer at this point. Well, I actually got it emptied, all except for the milk. So I'll just set that on the freezer right behind you and try and scrape and clean this one out real quick. I have 18 minutes. Can't believe it. We have one to wash tomorrow. I did try to chip the ice off the top, and I don't want to ruin the elements on that deep freeze. This one is scrubbed. Let's put everything that is going to go back into it, back in it. We literally have almost everything. So It's right now. It's 8:03 p.m. It's right in this moment when I'm asking myself, what on earth were you thinking? So I have physically been doing this for 3 days now. I keep changing shoes because as my feet start to hurt in one pair of shoes, I just change them to another one and then they're okay for a little bit. I'm gonna make some peach cookies though, because I would like to have a couple of those in the freezer. And then I also am gonna make some blueberry muffins. So I'm gonna make the peach cookies first because I want to refrigerate those before I bake them. And then I'll make the blueberry muffins and we'll be done with all of the fruit. So I'm just going to link a recipe if they turn out and just let you know how they were instead of walking you through every single step of how to make a cookie. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's not morning. It's about, sorry about that. It's about noon. I was just exhausted this morning. That's the truth of it. I was a little bit tired. So I watched some of my favorite YouTube channels and got my mind right, and then did the one thing that always brings me back down to center, and that was hang out with my daughter on the phone for about an hour, just laugh and talk about everything we have going on. And so I am ready. I am locked and loaded and ready to get going this morning. I last night ended at 10 o'clock. I didn't film it, but I'll just, whoops, spin you around here. I made a dozen blueberry muffins, 3 dozen peach cookies. Those are in the refrigerator right now. I grabbed the chicken that had the peaches and stuff in it. I took it out of the crock pot and put it in a bowl because the crock pot will actually, you can break that. So it was hot at 10 o'clock. So I moved the food into a bowl that I could put into the refrigerator. And then we have our broth, our second batch of broth done. We are gonna start canning this up this morning. And I ran the canner, and then I washed everything. So I washed the Instant Pot. I've scrubbed the canner this morning. Whew, okay, so everything is clean, the kitchen's clean, and I am now officially ready to start day 4 for me, day 3 on video. Let's see what we can tackle. I want this roaster for a bunch of the pork loin, and so let's get started. I made the wild decision. I moved the canner into the pantry, and my thought process behind it is I have this great big pantry, which I'm in the process of destroying through all of this, but I have this whole workspace here. I might as well not listen to the noise of it. It is very, very loud all day long in the kitchen, and so I don't want to hear it all day. So I moved it in here, and I can still hear it beep and do all of its things. So I got these pork loin in the very first freezer meal, and then we added to it, and then I ate the top ones, and then we added to it and ate the bottom ones. I'm finding freezer burn on them. That's okay. We got these before we got the sealer, and so this one that did go through the sealer, which is like a lot less stuff, these are still frozen. They have been out all night, and it is so cold in those freezer bags that they last for days in there. All right, so I'm gonna get all the freezer burnt ones for the dogs, and then the good one I'm gonna turn into some green chili pork for us. All right, so I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but all these spots that they're covered in, that is like freezer burn. So I'll put just a little bit of liquid in there. We just need it to cook through because I'm gonna shred it up with the Ninja, so it doesn't have to be something that's like, ooh, fall apart tender, because it's gonna get shredded anyway. Fine. what I did was, this is those moose bones that I ran in the Instant Pot yesterday. It's about 7 cups, but that whole, it's 6 cups of liquid. With all of that you see right there is actually the marrow. And then those bones are hard enough that the dogs can chew on them. And we try not to give them other bones that might like shred up, and they are outside just enjoying the heck out of them. So I'm gonna count this as 6, and so for 6 cups of liquid, we need 3 cups of barley. So I wanna see how full that gets it. I tried in the packaging, the 2 pork loins will not fit in this Instant Pot, but this beautiful roast will. So I went ahead, I don't have much to go with it right now, and that is fine. I'm just gonna shred it up. So I'm gonna poke a few holes in it. And I grabbed a garlic. This is just 2 cloves that has turned into this amount of garlic chunks. So we grew this garlic ourselves. So I just slit a little hole in the roast, and then I'm gonna stuff it. All right, and I think I'll just do really, really simple salt and pepper. I have that chicken broth that we're waiting to can up, so I might just cover it in a little bit. Broth. And make a simple roast. So some of the water dripped and then this stuck to the box last night, and it's some onion pesto. I'm gonna put a good chunk of that. And by onion, it's the onion scapes. It's the tops off of them. And look, you freeze it up. It has a little Parmesan cheese, some walnuts. So look at that. That'll cook down in there. And it's not like a basil or herby flavor. It literally is just really rich in onion flavor. So I decided to get this pork going and get it in the oven. And then I can move on to the next thing. Big pot, some pork, and then I'll grab the green chili out. Stay hydrated. Okay, so I got those 2 pork loins chopped up. I have 2 heads of garlic that I am just gonna toss in here. If you hear a bunch of thumping in the background, I keep kicking that bone off the porch, and Duke keeps bringing it onto the porch and chewing and playing with it and all that fun stuff. So hear a bunch of thumping in the background, that's what that is. All right, so I'm gonna toss all of these garlic in off camera. I've got some dried green chilies that are gonna go in. Some dry jalapeno. Gotta spice it up at our house. Homemade garlic salt. So this is garlic scape salt. It's a different garlic flavor than what we're putting in, but plenty of salt. And then I'm gonna grab 2 cans of green chilies and quite a bit of cumin. All right, I'm gonna just run my knife through, because they break down so much anyway. So green chilies have no heat. Well, some people say that they do. I don't think that they have any heat index at all. It does need a bit of liquid, so just in with a good shot of the chicken broth we're trying to get used up. And then into the oven, and I'll stir this around in just a little bit. All right, so we have our first pan of fish ready to go down. There's hardly any left, so as it kind of defrosts and starts to go down into the pot, so there's a little bit of salmon with some frostbite, a little bit of halibut, some cod, maybe a little pike, all the veggies that were in this freezer bag for 2 days just sitting here. And our house is hot, like from all the cooking. Still frozen, still ice, nice and cold. I did look it up. The dogs can eat Swiss chard. That's it. I do kind of cook the veggies just a little bit. I don't need them hot, but I just don't want like stomach issues. Therefore, I think cooking it up, lots of leafy greens, green beans, those sort of things. All right. So this, I think, is all the beef. So I have one batch of barley done, a second going. So I'm just gonna shred this up. All right, so out of the crock pot, I had grabbed the peach chicken. It is beautiful. Let me grab another bowl. Scraps. Okay, so like I said yesterday, I've actually had this before, and the kids and I really, really liked it. And so I'm now going to just pull the skin off, shred up the chicken, and I think it would make really, really good on like salads or with rice. And so I won't make like the whole thing, like do the rice and all that, but I have some little freezer bowls here. See, look at that. It cooked down so well. Beautiful. So I'm just gonna shred that up and then add some juice to it, put it in these little freezer bowls. And our lettuce and stuff is about ready in the garden, and I'll be able to make myself some really beautiful summer salads. I could top it with some fresh peaches and some basil out of the garden, kind of make a balsamic dressing, like mimic some of the flavors that are in the chicken. Actually, I probably don't need those bowls. I could do these in bags. All right, a quick update, just a pause. We're gonna head to the basement and finish all of that. The last of the fish is in here, it is done. The last of the meat is going in the Instant Pot. We have that going. We'll have to make like some rice and barley things. The pork loin is done. It just needs to be ground up. And then I've been dividing the vegetables, so they're here. These two bowls were a little too hot for me to mix by hand and get going. I just pulled the last of the chicken broth out of the canner. The roast is going. I'm gonna stir the green chili, and then we're almost done with everything in the fridge. So Aaron's on his way. I don't know if I already mentioned that. So I asked him if he would throw the drumsticks on the grill so that I can water the garden when he gets home. He said that he will. So we have our breakfast muffins, some cookies, and that is it. Like we're almost done. I cannot believe we're gonna make it. So let's go finish that deep freeze, organize it, and we'll then have, I think in the giant deep freeze that has nothing in it, we can set the dog foods in there when we're done and package up the green chili and the roast. Holy cow, I can't believe it. Sorry, I have my hands full, but there's the canner and there's the broth, and then there's our roast. All right, it's done. It is clean. It is ready to refill. So we put everything in this freezer. All right, final tour. I don't think there's anything gonna go into this one. So we have the onion and the garlic pestos left there. All of the pies we made. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think there's 11 of them in there, plus 2 cherry hand pies. That needs to get dealt with. That's the only thing that is still frozen that was odd, and that is some zucchini. So we need to make a bunch of zucchini bread, or muffins, something like that. Here is this freezer, finished. So we just have some greens, it's not even full. So spinach and kale, and then celery, odds and ends. So there's corn, there's peas, there's green beans, there's broccoli, there's some avocado in there. This is all cauliflower and cauliflower rice. That's from this last garden season. The 2 bags of Asian veg, all cranberries. So I need to come up with a cranberry project. And then cherries down there. Everything fit. And I have space in every single freezer. So I couldn't remember exactly if I showed you how this one ended up last night. So I just put some like water bottle type things to keep stuff cooled over here, and then there's bags of ice. So here is all the fish that we have. So it's really, really low, and some shrimp on that side, which means now that the salmon are coming in, we have lots and lots of space for the fish we'll be able to catch. So the big deep freeze is just some nuts. That whole tote down there is nuts. Let me see. I don't think there is the birria is right under there. So I'll put like the chicken and the other stuff that's pre-made down there as well. And then here's some things, some bacon bits, some sausage, some breakfast things, some lunch meat, and then the one giant thing of ribs, and that is it. That is everything that is in there. So walk over on our way up, and this is the meat. It's supposed to be the moose freezer, but it's really easy. So I have 2 things, a ham and a pork butt. This is all the beef we have. And then the moose, the rabbit, it's all in there. What's left of the chicken. So 1, 2 chicken wings to fry up and 2 breast. That is it. And I think I showed this one last night. So we have the dog food and the hooligan, and then those are the freezer meals we're working our way through. So while I was watering the garden, I came in and started cleaning up. We're gonna have to extend this one day because we're just tired. It's 7 o'clock and we still have to make dinner. So I'm gonna pull the green chili out of the oven. I shut off the roast, but Aaron grilled up the Hawaiian chicken.
Don't worry, it's still cooking.
Don't worry, he's got the other chicken going right now. That's him banging behind me. So I'm gonna put these in a bag and then just deal with it tomorrow with the rest of the other stuff. Aren't those beautiful? Well, today has been a heck of a good day. I did not film. I just blew through my day. It is now 4:56. This is the last and final thing that I have to package up and put in the freezer, and I have completed it. I cleaned the house. I did all of the laundry, beef, barley, dog food, and I'm totally set. I'm totally set and ready for the weekend. Let me just show you really quick. So we'll breeze over. The Instant Pot is done. I have the Instant Pot, the lid, and the bowl that we're working our way through. I have to take all of these freezer meals down. So I labeled all of those. Those are all the chickens. I labeled the green chili. We had the green chili last night. It was fantastic. Here's that one roast. I decided I was gonna leave that in the fridge. We were gonna eat that. Aaron grabbed some tortillas on his way home last night. So we have those. Sorry, the door keeps swinging shut. The muffins. Yeah, so I was gonna grab this bag of dog food out for them tonight and throw some in that. That is done. Swing this way. So 5, 10, 15, 20 plus bags of dog food today. I got all of these labeled, ready to go in the pantry. Yeah, I'm a little shocked. I'm a little shocked that we actually accomplished this, that we got it done, and that we're here now with perfectly cleaned out freezers and every single thing that we could process. You know what dawned on me early in the video? Remember when we were talking about the hooligan? I give my chickens a lot of fish. In fact, yesterday, one of the bags that I was working on processing, I took out there, and they had it gone before I could even finish all of the chores. So I think the chickens can eat some of that. It's like a really oily, fatty fish, which is good for the chickens, for their coats and their health and the fatty acids and all the things that you get from fish. So that's pretty fantastic. And thank you to whoever sent these to me. I use them like crazy on this meal prep, like 5 at a time. So these have been fantastic. These bags are a little bit bigger. I use those other red bags. I don't even know where they came from. They were free to me. So anyhow, let's just finish up. Let's see where I've been sticking these in the big deep freeze. Everything is cleaned out. Are you blown away? Are you blown away? I cannot believe I took on this task. I honestly can't, and I can't believe that we actually accomplished it. I'm out of veggies, so this is just gonna be beef and barley, but I think they'll be all right. The garden is starting to produce, so here very, very quickly, we will have some other things coming in, and then I'll start seeing how we can get some more fish and get some other meat brought in for maybe a roadkill moose or something like that would be really, really great. Anywho, well, that is it. Thank you for joining me for this video. I honestly am very impressed with what I got done. I feel super accomplished, and I hope that this inspires you. Even if it's just you go into the freezer and you process one thing, but if you find something where you're like, yeah, you know what, I can be inspired by this, that's all that matters. So I hope this inspired you at least just a little bit to do something really big or really small on your homestead, wherever you may be. So thanks for joining me today. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. If you ring the bell, you'll get notifications. And as always, I hope that you're blessed. I hope you have a beautiful, fantastic week ahead of you. And I hope that you will come back and watch another video with us. But for now, I'll see you later.